Ooh, is that me popping? Is it better? No more pops? Weird. All right, ready when you are, bud. Chief Meteorologist Joel Barnes here, just with a quick update. There's no imminent threat for tornadoes coming into our area that I can see on the radar right now, and that's about as best case scenario you can hope when the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center puts you under a PDS tornado watch. There's still a lot of clouds, still it's very humid, it still feels like thunderstorms, right? But things are right now looking pretty decent. It's almost a guarantee, though, later tonight we're going to get some strong gusty windstorms that are coming by. The tornado threat start looking a lot lower than it was obviously a few hours ago when they issued that watch. We're still at 82. It is still warm. It is still very humid. We are still under that PDS tornado watch. They issued a PDS watch. What a PDS means is they think that it is a particular dangerous situation. If any cells would have gone up in West Tennessee, our atmosphere had all the necessary ingredients to produce large supercells capable of up to baseball-sized hail and large long-track tornadoes. But so far, those haven't panned out. But we still have that tornado and hail threat for the next few hours till around 11. Then after 11 o'clock, we're going to switch over to this more of a straight line wind concern with possibility of 70-mile-an-hour gusts. It doesn't mean we won't get a quick spin-up tornado along that line. It's just a predominant concern, I think, is going to be gusty winds. But we are still around 80. We still have that breeze out of the south. We still got a lot of what we call wind shear, which is sticking around. You need wind shear to cause rotation to produce supercells, and that's pretty much on the high side for us here. And we've also got a lot of moisture. The dew point, the highest here into the 70s. That's where the storm energy is the highest. It's a little bit lower in a few areas, but still well high enough to fuel thunderstorms tonight. So we have one storm. Watch how fast. As soon as it got out of West Tennessee, turned into a supercell, kind of, right? So the cap really strong here. I'm going to explain to you what a cap is here in a minute. But that cell took off as soon as it got northeast of the Kentucky Lake area. We've got one to the south we're watching. Not a severe thunderstorm, but it's definitely got some hail and some lightning and probably some gusty winds with it. You notice the general direction of this. Slow mover. This is an hour loop, I believe. We'll go back, an hour. And so it's right here. So that one's going to be coming into our area, I think, 8:15. So that could be something we need to keep a close eye on here as we get into the 8 o'clock hour. Up north, we've got rotating storms. Got a tornado warning there near Mountain View. These are about an hour away, 100 miles away. They're moving only, I think, 30, maybe 35 miles an hour. So we're probably looking at 3 hours on these. So probably sometime around 10:30, 11 o'clock. I think that's when our main event's going to come by here tonight. But then again, we'll watch any of these little cells that are going up. But currently here in West Tennessee, we are cell free for now. But we'll see about that one down to the south as it moves on in. But the tornado watch remains in effect until 11 p.m. tonight. So here's a look at the forecast. This HRRR thinks some of these cells are still going to come on by over the next few hours. It has the main line showing up closer to around midnight, but it's also got some individual cells going out in front of the main line. That's something we'll also need to keep an eye on. If those go up, those could be rotating storms too. So we'll see. Not a lot of confidence in the stuff out in front of the line closer to midnight. But the main line coming through has it, look at that, very strong winds coming south of Jackson, coming through Jackson sometime between probably midnight and 2 a.m. we think is the general timing that we've been seeing. By 3, 4 a.m. it looks like everything has cleared on out. Then, by the way, we've got more storms coming in tomorrow. Latest futurecast has around 4 o'clock for some of these to move through tomorrow, and then getting stronger maybe into the late evening hours, and then tapering off by Wednesday morning. Here's another forecast model. This is the one that said no on the supercells. This is the one that's been right. This is our in-house forecast model. It's been kicking tail the last couple of storms. It's done real well. National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center were more focused on the HRRR, thinking that we were going to get a bunch of supercells, large tornadoes here in West Tennessee. But our model in-house nailed it. Remember, we don't issue tornado watches here at Wbbj. Those come from the Storm Prediction Center and their communication with the National Weather Service. So by 10 o'clock, though, we are expecting those storms to come by. This model also has all the late stuff fizzling on out. That seems unlikely, that we won't get some decent storms here in Jackson a little bit later. And it's got some cells maybe still lingering though around 2, 3 o'clock before everything clears out. It's also got it's got a storm threat coming in Tuesday again around 4 o'clock, then another line through 6, and then some heavy rain coming by Tuesday evening. So if this forecast is right, like it was today, tomorrow may be a worse event than what we had today. So we'll see. It's got pretty much everything clearing out around 10 o'clock. So you're saying, what is a cap? How come we don't have any storms today? Well, a cap is an area of warm air that sits about 7,000 to 10,000 feet above the surface. And remember, what most people know about air is warm and hot air rises, and it'll continue to rise until it runs into air that is the same temperature. So as it runs into that warm air sitting about 10,000 feet up, it stops rising. To get thunderstorms to be produced, you need the air to rise all the way up into the upper levels of the atmosphere to get going. Now, when you have an uncapped atmosphere or a weaker cap, it can be broken, allowing these strong storms to form. And right now, the cap has been really, really strong here in West Tennessee. They got some data back from aircraft that was flying through, and they didn't really see that strong of a cap, the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center said. So that's why they issued that tornado watch, because if any of those storms would have broken the cap, they would have become very, very strong and likely rotating, and we probably would have had several tornadoes on the ground. So we just barely dodged a bullet on that one. Another way to look at a cap is thinking of it as when you're boiling a pot of water and that steam rises and you got the lid on tight, right? That's the cap. It's trapping in the steam. But once you take that lid off or the cap breaks, all the collected steam rushes upward, and quickly you can get storms to, you know how you can burn your hand even as that steam goes racing off to the north. So again, things can explode pretty quickly. We'll take another look here at the radar. We're going to continue off and on about every 30 minutes or so, give you these updates on live until we get severe weather here, and then we'll stay with the coverage if we get severe thunderstorms here or any tornado warnings. But so there's the front tonight. It's just going to stall out to the north of us, and then tomorrow the front itself comes by, and that's why we're going to push several different rounds of showers and thunderstorms. Then we should cool down, looks like, into the day on Wednesday. But still a level 4 tonight. They've had multiple tornado warnings in the moderate risk so far here in West Tennessee. That 3 that we've been under really hasn't panned out. But again, we are expecting severe weather later tonight. That seems very likely. We're going to have some big storms after 10 p.m. and those are likely going to be a wind threat. That's why we're under the enhanced risk for wind. Again, could have about a 50% chance. Every one of these counties will have winds gusting up to 60 miles an hour. The hail threat, this is more for the supercells if they were to get going, as well as the tornado threat was more for the supercells. Now, it doesn't mean we won't get a spin up again later along the line or one tomorrow, but the threat tomorrow right now just a 2 and 5%. I think we're going to be upgraded from a 2 to a 3 tomorrow for what I'm seeing. Maybe not for tornadoes, but for straight line winds. I think we got some gusty windstorms on the way tomorrow. But one more last look at that futurecast. Again, as it's got the storms, show you the HRRR futurecast. It's still got storms sticking around here, but they don't look too impressive right now until the main line gets here. And then this starts to look pretty ugly, though, after midnight. So we're going to keep a very close eye on things. We're going to have another update here at the top of the hour on our live feed if you just want to watch around 8. Meteorologist Jordan Hubbard's in with me as well. We're both tracking these storms, and we'll have another more detailed update coming in at 8 when these storms get a little bit closer. But thanks for sticking with us here tonight. Chief Meteorologist Joel Barnster just with another update here at the top of the hour, 8 o'clock. Still no imminent threat for tornadoes here in West Tennessee, but we are still watching some storms. Dyersburg, probably sometime between 10 and 11 p.m. is when you're going to get hit with that line of storms. Probably coming through Jackson sometime between midnight and 2 a.m. It is still warm tonight. It is still humid. It just feels like thunderstorms are coming, right? We're still under that tornado watch. That's out till 11 p.m. But again, so far we haven't seen any rotating storms developing here in West Tennessee since they issued the watch. If we do get those, though, tonight, any storms that go up the next few hours, the atmosphere's still got a lot of storm motion and it's still got a lot of energy. We still could have a tornado health threat. Can't rule that out yet, so we need to keep watching things, but not super confident in that. Very confident, though, in the gusty wind line coming by later tonight. The current temperatures hanging around 80. The wind's still out of the south around 10 to 15 miles an hour, and the dew point still way up there into the upper 60s to low 70s. So we still got the goods for severe weather tonight. We just haven't had any storms yet. If the storms would have gone up and they would have gone into this environment, they could have been very dangerous. That's why the Storm Prediction Center and National Weather Service issued that PDS tornado watch, because we had conditions for really big storms. This is the only one even close to us right now, and it's not severe. It's just sitting down here to the south, tracking to the northeast. Eventually it'll make its way here, but the atmosphere in Mississippi does not have the goods that we do here. That's why that storm isn't gone severe. It's just kind of sitting here and weakening. These storms, though, are into the juice. That's why they're really strong tonight. We've got tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, and they're still a little over 100 miles away, traveling about 30, 35 miles an hour. That's about 3 hours out, so maybe closer to 11 p.m. when we start to see these storms moving into West Tennessee. We've got a confirmed tornado east of St. Louis tonight. That's that pink polygon you see there, and all this activity is still going to come our way. We're still under that watch, though. The tornado watch is for the supercell stuff. We might see a tornado watch issued after 11 p.m. for this late stuff. There's a chance, though, they issue a severe thunderstorm watch, so we'll see where they go. But there's definitely going to be strong storms coming in tonight after 11 p.m., even if we don't get the supercells the next few hours. HRRR forecast model is usually pretty good with thunderstorms. It did not do good today. It thinks there's going to be an explosion close to midnight. I'm not sure about that. I'm fairly confident in this stuff coming on in, so we'll see. And then it's got some really intense storms as well around 2 a.m. tracking south, but these are kind of along a wind line here. Doesn't mean you can't get a spin-up tornado along the line of storms. It's just more likely if we got big tornadoes, it would be with supercells here this evening, and those really haven't panned out. So that's one look at it. It's also got storms coming back tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got another round Tuesday evening. These will likely stick around until Tuesday night, until the front itself passes by, and then once the front comes through early Wednesday morning, then we'll start to cool down some. Here's another forecast model I do want to show you. This is our in-house model. This one actually did really well today. It was one of the outliners that said, I don't think the supercells are going to go up. Maybe we ought to trust this one a little bit more, right? So it looks like we've got some storms coming on in. It's also got everything really weakening tonight, but I'm not sure that it's going to look like this at midnight. I hope it does, but that would be a surprise. Now, we also got some storms lingering maybe till 3 a.m. It's also got the storms coming in on Tuesday as well, maybe around 4 o'clock. This is a little interesting. It's got 3 waves of storms, 1, 2, and 3, blasting with some very heavy rain. So Tuesday, we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on things, I think, around 4 o'clock. That's when things could start to deteriorate, and then we are expecting everything to wrap up by Wednesday. If you're just now joining our live feed, or if you didn't watch any of our newscasts today, you're wondering why we didn't get storms. Well, there's a thing called a cap, all right? So basically, warm air rises, right? So it comes up like in your house. You know, the warm air starts at the ground, it rises. It continues to rise in the atmosphere until it gets to an area where the temperature is equal. We've got this warm layer about 10,000 feet up in the atmosphere that's blocking the particles and just kind of keeping them here. Think of it like as you put a lid on a boiling pot of water, right? Everything just kind of sits there. That's what's going on, and we need to see this warm air cap either fall apart or weaken or get smaller or have some cracks in it. Usually you get cracks in it, and that's where all the warm air goes up and shooting. You get these overshooting tops, create these big supercell thunderstorms. So that's why we don't, unfortunately, or fortunately, why we haven't seen any big tornadoes tonight. It's due to that cap that's sitting around. Sometimes you hear us talk about a cap. The National Weather Service was getting readings from planes that were flying into Memphis, and they what they were reporting back, what the data they analyzed was the cap really wasn't much. Obviously, they were wrong. It was a major cap here in the area, and that's what kept us from getting those storms going tonight. So we'll take one last look here at the radar. Quick look inside with what we're seeing. Again, we've got the big line off to the west. That's probably about 11 o'clock. That's going to come in. You notice, look at the 5 tornado warnings have piled up, but they're all north of us, and we're starting to see things turning into a line. So it's becoming more linear. You see how those individual cells, watch around St. Louis, and then boom, everything came into a line. So what they're seeing up there is they got some kinks in that line. There's a real good example. That's where the confirmed tornado is. You see that kink in that line there near Sugar Creek. That's where you're getting winds from the surface. They're coming in like this. Let me get our little draw tool here. So you're getting winds being sucked in this way into the storm, this direction, and then behind the front, you've got winds coming in this direction. So that's what's created that spin up there, and that's why there's that confirmed tornado up near Sugar Creek. Now, eventually this is going to come our way, but you notice it's looking very linear, straight line going all the way down. There's still a couple individual cells here. We're expecting that to congeal into a line before it gets to Lake County, but we may not be done with the tornado threat, so we're going to keep a very close eye on it tonight. We're going to have another update here at 8:30. Meteorologist Jordan Hubbard's in with me. Obviously, if the storms get into our area, we'll break in before that, but join us back here on our live feed at 8:30 for another update.
Welcome in, West Tennessee. We're going to give you a quick look at the weather again. Things still not panning out with the cap, which is a good thing. The tornado threat has currently decided to stay at bay for now. We're going to keep an eye on that main line as it pushes through. Here in the next hour or so, you will be able to see some of the lightning from those storms over in Missouri here in Dyersburg, but you're still probably maybe another hour and a half, 2 hours from those storms crossing the river out in Dyersburg. Right now, still in the 80s. Now that the sun sets, it's going to be a lot harder to get that cap to break for supercells to fire. We'll take things over to downtown Jackson. We're at 82 here, and we're going to take things down to Savannah as well, where things are still also at 81 degrees. But well, I'm showing you for Savannah for a reason. They expanded the enhanced risk almost to all of West Tennessee, except for very, very southeastern Hardin County, and that is for the tornado threat. They actually increased the tornado threat south of I-40 just recently with the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center. We still have the level 4 out for northern Lake County and northwestern Obion County, but now almost all of West Tennessee is under that enhanced risk, except for southeastern Hardin County. That might include Pickwick Landing. That might also include the community of Big Ivy. But again, we're still watching this line as it moves through the region. We'll take a look at that PDS tornado watch that's still in effect until 11 o'clock for all of West Tennessee. But again, still haven't seen anything, no supercells, which is a good sign. But here's a look at that line as we track it all the way, pretty much its entire length, all the way from Champaign, Illinois, down through southern Missouri. We've got tornado warnings starting to pop along this line, but also this line is moving almost due east. So even this northernmost tornado warning here might only barely clip West Tennessee if it holds together. Now that these storms are in a line, we're going to see how this tornado threat starts to evolve now that we don't have supercells in the mix for the remainder of the, well, not the remainder of the evening, but what's going on right now. We do have 2 tornado warnings out in Missouri, now a third one that was issued between the time I made this and the time I came on air, but they are moving, again, almost due east. So this might clip Lake and Obion County if it holds together, but also they're still 123 miles, 146 miles away. That's plenty of time for these to congeal into a line and again become more of a straight line wind threat. But again, these storms, as they form into a line, can get some little kinks in the line, and that's where we could see a brief spin up tornado. But we'll take things over to West Tennessee. We do have some things starting to pop up right around Lexington, just to the north, between Lexington and I-40. We've got some stuff starting to go up again. These don't look too impressive. We also have a cell trying to go up south of Bolivar. Again, we're not going to pay much attention to these right now until they start to show some lightning, which is a sign that convection is starting to take place, which means those storms are intensifying. We'll start to pay a little bit more attention to them right now. But so far, things south of I-40 have really struggled to get going. Even these storms, they've been going for a while. They even had a special weather statement at some point as they were back towards Batesville, west of Interstate 55. But now this is that same storm. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strikes of lightning. Not really a good sign for any severe thunderstorms there. That is what we're going to see. This is where these storms are struggling to break the cap. And while this one it hasn't sustained itself very well. Again, 5 strikes of lightning. There were reports of some very small hail with this storm back, again, when it was west of I-55. Now, I'd be surprised if there was even graupel or very small pellets of ice. Here's a look at the HRRR model. It's the one that was bringing all of these supercells into West Tennessee. It's starting to move out of the range of where those supercells were, but it's still predicting an explosion of storms ahead of the line around midnight just to the west of Jackson. Now, we're not too sure about that, but we are sure that there is going to be a line. Again, we've been saying that's almost guaranteed at this point, that there will be a line of storms coming through West Tennessee between 10 o'clock and 4 a.m. tomorrow. Now, we're going to show you our model, the IBM, for tonight, and that is going to it's been really lacking on the supercells, which is one of the things we've seen, so we're going to trust this model a little bit more tonight. But where I'm starting to lose a little bit of trust in it, it's breaking up the main line and almost completely dissipating that main line through West Tennessee by midnight. Splits right around Jackson, but there's just not a lot going on here. We're gonna say we're still gonna believe that that line is going to move through West Tennessee, but the supercells, we're not too we're not too ready for supercells. We're not going to expect those because most of the models had them, and they haven't panned out at all today, and that's because of the cap. Now the cap is a layer of warm air because warm air rises, but if warm air runs into warm air on the way up, it can't go any higher. But when that cap breaks, that's when you can get some thunderstorms going. Now this is about 7,000 to 10,000 feet above ground level, but it can really be anywhere above the surface that would prevent warm air from rising. Today's just happened to be around 10,000 feet per the National Weather Service in Memphis, but it's when that cap thins out and even breaks, we get some pretty strong storms forming. Now, if it breaks, that's when a cap completely breaks, it's usually when we get lines of storms. It takes one storm to crack through the cap, and that's usually when you get those individual supercells. Now we're going to re-rack radar one more time, give you another walk around the southeast and the mid-south. It doesn't look too impressive here in West Tennessee right now, but we still have some threats that we have to pay attention to. Like I said, we've got 3 tornado warnings just to our northwest. Now, again, these storms are moving due east. Now, I noticed the IBM had things turning southeast later, and we usually associate a right turn with intensification, and that's why we're going to be tracking this over the next several hours until it's through us here in West Tennessee. But again, 3 tornado warnings, and there's a lot of lightning just in this one scan. Of course, it's also including the stuff up in Illinois, but almost 1,200 lightning strikes among broken line segment and 3 supercells. So some pretty intense convection. Again, this is where that moderate risk was outlined. And well, actually, I think this stuff off to the southwest might still be in the enhanced and is about to move into the moderate risk. So it might be moving into an environment even more favorable, but still 120 to 150 miles away from us here in West Tennessee, depending on which cell you're looking at. It's going to be a while, and that's a lot of time for these storms to merge into a line. But here's, again, 123, 146, and that's outdated by a couple of scans. So it may very well be 115 to 130 now, but still, we're going to keep an eye on this over the next few hours. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 30 minutes-ish with another weather update. Welcome in West Tennessee. Here's a quick weather update on the current ongoing severe weather threat. Right now, we're going to take you outside to Dyersburg, where we are still just a little too far away to see some of the lightning coming in from some of those storms over in Missouri and Arkansas, but that time is coming soon. They're starting to get within 100 miles of West Tennessee, but temperatures, even this late, still in the 80s. We've still got plenty of juice to work with, but we don't have that sunlight to keep things energized. We are going to keep an eye on things as they progress. Jackson still also in the 80s at 81. Winds out of the south ripping around 10 to 20 miles per hour still. But we'll take you also down to Savannah, 81 degrees there as well. But the dew point, 75. Plenty of juice in the atmosphere ready to go. We have updated this just a little bit. We've dropped the tornado just a touch, and we've dropped the hail risk just a touch. But the enhanced risk with the last update from the SPC expanded the level 3, the enhanced risk, all the way from a good chunk of northwestern Tennessee all the way down to the Tennessee River in Hardin County. So it is a very big jump in risk there. But we have seen the lack of supercells over the last few hours. It's convinced us enough to drop that hail risk down from baseballs to about golf ball. Now we are still going to be seeing some hail if we get some severe weather here across West Tennessee within the next few hours, but the wind gusts are going to take over as the primary threat for now as we watch that line come through. 45% chance of damaging winds along and north of I-40 for most of West Tennessee, but again, this is not the reason the enhanced risk was expanded all the way down to Savannah. That was actually the tornado risk that prompted that. They expanded that tornado risk, the 10% tornado risk, all the way down to southeastern Hardin County for now. And now Big Ivy and Counts, you are still in that 5% border. But again, that 5% to 2% is a tiny area before you go from a pretty substantial tornado risk to not much of a tornado risk at all. But we also still have that 30% red hail risk for a good chunk, about 2/3 of West Tennessee along and north of I-40 as well as west of Highway 45. It's going to be a very telling time over these next few hours as we track this over the next couple hours across Arkansas and Missouri. Still have the PDS tornado watch until 11 o'clock tonight. It may see an extension depending on the conditions as this line moves in over the next few hours. We're still tracking this line of storms. Still got a few tornado warnings that could come close to West Tennessee if they hold together. But what I want to bring your attention to, look at all the lightning in this. We've trimmed out just to these 3 storms, and we've got about 614 lightning strikes from Piedmont, Missouri, all the way down to the Arkansas state line, and then a little back behind that. But 3 tornado warnings, actually. This one, it's a little bit wider. If it follows the state line in a straight line, these storms are moving just about due east. That would clip Lake County if it holds together. But now that we're starting to see these storms merge into a line, that risk for tornadoes is going to change a little bit. We're going to keep an eye on this again. Track is the story of tonight. We've been sitting around waiting for storms to fire all night. Now that they have, they're behaving a little bit differently than the models anticipated, but they are starting to get within 100 miles of West Tennessee, but the northern storm is about 90 miles from Kentucky Bend. They're that little extension of Fulton County that's not connected to the rest of Tennessee, but not the rest of Kentucky, excuse me. It's this tornado warning we're watching right now for northern Arkansas, just north of Pocahontas. It's about 116.5 miles away. Now we're going to still stick with it again over these next few hours because, like I said, the models and what's actually happening have not been agreeing all too well today. We do have some things that have been going up around West Tennessee. Home about. We had this go up over pretty much right on top of exit 126 out on I-40 at the Benton and Decatur County line, but it's really not much. No lightning at all in this. There was a little bit of a heavy downpour, but it has kind of fallen apart, and now that it's moved off into Middle Tennessee, across the Tennessee River there into Humphreys County, it's not really going to be worth our time very much more. But this is the original storm that we had a special weather statement on that we were tracking earlier. The first storm to break the cap today does have a severe thunderstorm warning on it now, but it has also joined in moving due east. When it was weaker, it was moving northeast, but as storms intensify, they have a tendency to turn right. And this one almost pivoted from going northeast to due east on a dime. It did not spend a whole lot of time changing directions, but we'll show you what the Futurecast models are showing for the rest of the night. The HRRR, the model that's been a little trigger happy on the supercells, still seems to think we could get a few supercells ahead of the main line at midnight. This has also slowed down the main line to about midnight at Lake County, which will be a little later than we originally anticipated, but still within the window that we originally forecast. But that line would be through Jackson by 2 o'clock, moving into Henderson, Lexington. Now this bow echo, if this actually manifests, that could have some pretty intense, maybe 70, 75, hopefully not, but possibly even 80 mile per hour gusts behind it. You see this is what we call a cold pool right here developing on a model. So that would really ramp up some of that outflow ahead of the storm too. But we'll show you the other model we have coming in for the rest of the night. This is our IBM, or also called the graph model. Again, it's been splitting the line apart as it moves into West Tennessee. Now, other than what we've seen earlier, this is about the first thing that I'm hesitant to believe with this model. Those storms over in Missouri, Arkansas, they're holding together with no problem, and we're in a little bit more favorable of an environment here in West Tennessee than they are over in southern Missouri. So we'll keep an eye on things as to how they go. Now we'll explain to you why we didn't get any supercells earlier, and it's because of that cap. That cap held together. It was, folks, it was about the strength. It was about the size of a floss string at some points today. But all the cap is just an area of warm air aloft. But if you have warm air rising from the surface and you run into an area of warm air at the same temperature or warmer, it can't rise any higher, and that's going to lead to clouds sort of bottoming out at a certain height. But it's when you get that cap broken that you start to see some of those thunderstorms develop. And it's when you have a weaker cap that you can get more of these stronger thunderstorms. When that cap goes away entirely on a day like today, that's what you get. That's when you get stuff like what's going over in Missouri, Arkansas, and Illinois now. A line of storms. That means the cap has completely evaporated. Supercells do require just a tad bit of a cap. Today's was just a little bit too heavy for some of those storms to overcome. And now that the sun has gone down, the cap is actually going to reclose on itself eventually, but we are expecting a recharge for tomorrow afternoon and evening. And we're going to re-rack radar one more time, just to give you another recap of what's going on here across West Tennessee. Again, we are all hunky-dory for now here across West Tennessee, but tornado warnings off to the west, about 120 miles away from Lake County. We're going to keep an eye on these over the next few hours. Again, some of these models hint that it may not get here until about midnight, which will be a little late, but still, as that holds together, they're moving east at about 35 miles per hour. At some point, these storms might start to make that southeasterly turn, and that would send them our way a little more confidently. But there also is some development off to the southwest of some of these stronger storms that hasn't quite ramped up just yet. But we're going to keep an eye on these three storms in particular, really just this southernmost storm just to the southeast of Thayer, Missouri, that's got that tornado warning, that if it holds together for, again, 120 miles, that's a lot to ask for a supercell. 120 miles is a long distance for a supercell to cover, but we've also seen it start to merge with one cell that's out ahead of it. We're starting to see some mergers behind it. It's a sign that it's merging into a line, and that's going to really decrease the tornado threat within this segment of, we're just going to call it a broken line for now. But doesn't mean the threat is going to be zero when that gets here to West Tennessee. Again, got about 120 miles, and at 35 miles per hour, that's a little under about 3 hours. So we're still looking at somewhere between 11 and midnight that this is going to cross the river into West Tennessee. And again, we don't have a lot going on right now. Our atmosphere, we've had a couple of storms try to go up. We had one over on the Decatur-Benton County line, and we've had a couple try to go up over Bolivar. And again, these storms have just been struggling and struggling to fire. But we are going to keep an eye on these over the next couple hours again. And it's just not holding together. These things going up over West Tennessee are not holding together. And that's a good thing. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see these storms hold together and bring all this energy on top of West Tennessee. Severe thunderstorms over in Mississippi. Again, this is the first storm to break the cap earlier today. And even it's starting to show some signs that it's not too impressive either. It has a little bit of a supercellular shape, but it's almost oriented the wrong way. As you notice, the forward flank is pointed southeast. Usually in a supercell, it's pointed east or northeast. But again, we'll track these over the next few hours or so, and we'll again have that newscast at 10 o'clock tonight for you to see even more weather details and more looks at your forecast tonight.
Well, good evening, West Tennessee. Chief Meteorologist Joel Barnes here, just with a quick update about 30 minutes before the news. We're still watching some big storms, but I think we're going to stay severe storm free till after midnight. I think that's when things are going to start to move into West Tennessee, include you in Dyersburg, sometime probably around 12:15, 12:30. Things are going to start to get pretty rough for you. Currently 80 degrees. It is still warm. Look at your dew point, 71. You still got the guts and the stuff needed to produce severe weather tonight. And there's some big storms on the way. It's still 81 in Jackson. It just feels like storms, right? When you go outside, you just kind of get that feeling. We're still under that tornado watch till 11 p.m. I think they're going to extend that out till probably 4 a.m. to include all of West Tennessee. I think they take the PDS part out of it, as those big supercells we thought would be possible today didn't materialize. But what they did do is expand the level 3 almost to include all of West Tennessee now, and they jumped that up as far as the tornado threat. So they think there still could be some spin-ups and maybe a cell or two out in front of that main line. I'm still leaning towards gusty winds by the time the line gets here, being the main concern, as these individual cells, which are all rotating right now, I think are going to congeal into a line before they get here. I'll show you that here on the radar in just a minute. But it's still hot, it's still breezy, and it's still very humid tonight, with that dew point 68 to 70 getting off to the west. Puts it in that very humid category even in the summertime, and we're currently in April, so these are really high dew points, or April or May. These are really high dew points for this time of the year. Here's our 3 storms, all of them right now still tornado warned, and you notice they're still holding on to their individuality. They're still kind of doing their own thing. But I'll show you here in a second that they're starting to turn a little bit more into a line. Anything that's gone up in West Tennessee today, hasn't done anything. That's everything out in front has really struggled to do much. We have one severe storm near us. It's this one down here to the south, but it's almost going due east. So everything that's picking up speed and showing any sort of organization is almost moving due east tonight. And that includes all 3 of these storms. You notice the polygons, this southern one's dropping a little bit further to the south, but I think these 2 northern storms stay north of us. It's this one down south we're watching. Look at the lightning strikes. Over 1,000 strikes just pretty much with these 3 storms. And this one did have a hail core, but it looks like that's gone. All of their hail cores have pretty much gone away. So in the last hour, all 3 of these storms have shown a weakening trend. You look inside them at the rotation, nothing that looks like it's producing a tornado, but there's definitely some wind and maybe some mid-level rotation with these storms. But excuse me, these are so far away from the radar, though, that it's tough to actually get a good look at them. They're kind of in a radar hole between 3 different radars. But here's a look at it out of Memphis. Do you see that there's still some reds and greens, though, close together? Here's the timing. They're moving east around 35 miles an hour. So sometime in Dyersburg around 12:30, Union City maybe 12:20 with that northern storm if it gets there. So it's not going to be until midnight. So we've still got at least 2 more hours, I think, until these storms get here. And a lot can happen in that amount of time, including these all be coming together and dropping into a line. You notice down south, there's some redevelopment here, but it's almost congealing into a line. So we'll keep an eye on it. We would rather have it as a line than individual cells. Individual cells have a better chance of producing a tornado. That doesn't mean you won't get a tornado along the line. We had one earlier, went right through central in Illinois. That was along the line that had a confirmed dangerous tornado with it. So we still got a lot of activity to come through tonight. Here's the timing. You notice right around midnight, going to start to move on in. And we'll see about these little cells out in front. I don't think they're going to be anything to worry about. I think it's going to be the main line that's going to be our concern, coming through Jackson sometime close to 2 with some gusty winds. And it may not be until 4 a.m. when this line finally clears places like McNairy and Hardin County. So we've still got some pretty rough storms on the way. We're going to have a full update, though, tonight at 10, and then Jordan and I are going to continue to cover this line as it comes through like we're doing now. We'll do updates every 30 minutes till the line gets here. Once we get severe weather, big storms moving through, then we'll kind of stick with it and cover the storms. And everybody's favorite meteorologist, Mo Shamel, is also going to be in around 1:30 a.m. For those of you that don't get to see him sometimes because he's in on the morning, if you stay up late tonight, you'll be able to see Mo coming on in as well. But we're going to turn off our live stream now. And join us tonight at 10, and then we'll restart our live stream after the 10 o'clock news tonight. All right, everybody?